Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining TAG Aviation for this presentation on what aircraft owners are really thinking. My name is Carl, for anyone who hasn't met me yet. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for TAG Aviation here in the UK and in Europe. So firstly, I just want to say a massive thank you to Corporate Jet Investor, to all of the team that are here. It's a brilliant event, Al. You know that we support you every year. It really is essential and so relevant to our industry. So thank you so much for having us involved. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So to give a little bit of context behind this presentation, so every year, Al and the team challenge TAG to answer a question. There's been some very interesting ones over the years, but this year Al asked us to answer the question, what are aircraft owners really thinking as we head into 2025? Now, obviously, as TAG Aviation, we could probably answer that question given our historical knowledge of our clients, of course. But maybe this year we thought we'd do something a little bit different. We thought it could be quite interesting, instead of hearing our opinion on what we think is going to be happening this year, we would speak to our aircraft owners on your behalf. Could we give our aircraft owners a voice in this forum? Could we ask them the questions that hopefully you would want to hear answered? So, over the past month, myself and some of my colleagues who are here today have been interviewing our aircraft owners. We've been asking them the same 5 questions, which hopefully I will then summarize and give you an indication on what our aircraft owners are thinking. So, let's begin. The objective really of the presentation is twofold, and obviously at TAG we're using this for our benefit as well. It was to understand owners' stance on the present by probing 5 key points. And then could we use this, both for TAG and for yourselves hopefully, to better plan for the year ahead? So firstly, who did we ask? Can you read that? That's come up very small. For some reason. Where's marketing? I hope it's not like that for the rest of the show. So we have asked 16 aircraft owners based in the UK, in Europe, and over in the US. These aircraft owners can be loosely categorized. This is going to be a tough one. They can be loosely categorized as historical owners, so owners who have owned a business jet for beyond 10 years and with multiple aircraft in their portfolio. First-time owners, so new to the industry, post-COVID buyers, and then also corporate aircraft owners, so blue-chip owners with flight departments supplemented by TAG. The answers, which you can't see, were answered directly by the UBO themselves, and they were answered in a mix of emails, phone calls, some very long phone calls, and face-to-face greetings at the aircraft. So what aircraft do these owners have? Hopefully this works. Okay. This focus group in total own the following aircraft types. Hopefully this demonstrates that the group that we asked are well qualified and should give us a diverse set of responses. So what questions did we ask? We felt that for CGI London in the UK, you would like us to probe the following 5 subjects. Number 1, owners' real, genuine and honest thoughts on sustainable flying. How will changes in politics and tax affect aircraft ownership? Owners' thoughts on AI in business aviation. How our industry is negatively portrayed to the public via the press, and what do aircraft owners want us to do about it? And finally, what aircraft owners want to say to you. If we're going to use this forum, what would they like to say to an audience of 400 business aviation leaders? Let's find out. So, question number 1 was, what are your honest thoughts on sustainability in aviation? Is flying sustainably a priority for you? Can we have an honest answer from our owners? The majority answer was no. But I do want to be clear on this point. This does not mean that sustainability was not important to our aircraft owners. Actually, quite the opposite. Corporate owners especially were very aware of the importance of having a green image. But what owners believed the public often forget is that the green efforts of their companies that they run should come first. Focusing a blue-chip global corporation's efforts to be as green as possible has a far greater material impact than simply putting SAF in the back of their jet. Interestingly, and to be honest in this forum, all did not trust carbon offsetting programs and do not see this as a viable solution for the future. All were waiting for the ready availability of SAF, and they were all keeping a really close eye on hydrogen engine development. If you could see that. If you could increase your annual operating cost to reliably offset all carbon, would you? The answer was yes. If SAF was more readily available, the majority would happily increase their annual costs. And those are costs that are not insignificant. To add some context to that comment, assuming you have an ultra-long-range jet based out of the UK, flying 300 hours a year, we would estimate, depending on where you buy your SAF from, that would increase your annual operating cost to about £700,000 per year. It's not insignificant, and they're happy to pay that. Are protesters going to change your use of business aviation? Very relevant for this morning. Absolutely not. And that was a unanimous answer from all of the aircraft owners that we spoke to. The only change owners currently see is they now do not trust their aircraft to be allowed to be exhibited at industry shows. And some owners were worried that the protesters actually do highlight the lack of meaningful progress our industry has made to be green. And left unchecked, protesters could ultimately influence government policy. So, question number 2. It's even smaller. How could politics affect your flying in 2025? That's bigger. Taxes. Is your asset an unfair target? The majority actually agreed their aircraft is a fair target. Despite owners' belief that the public still do not fully understand the role in connectivity and economic growth that business aviation facilitates, most agreed this is also extremely hard to measure, and therefore it's also extremely hard to defend. Will increased UK APD affect your usage? We're doing well. This was a unanimous no from all the owners that we spoke to. Obviously, passenger duty will be rising under the new UK government, and this reflects a targeted approach to high-emission travel. In most cases, the rise will be about 50%. So higher APD will not affect owners that we asked. However, those who charter their aircraft to the public do worry this could affect charter appetite, especially for aircraft based in the UK, obviously. Will you leave the UK as a result of non-domicile tax changes? Bless you. For those not familiar, and I'm certainly not a tax expert myself, but non-dom status enables people who live in the UK to avoid paying UK tax on money made abroad because their permanent home for tax reasons is outside of this country. The new Labour government intend to phase this out, which in a recent report on wealth migration by Henley and Partners, perhaps some of you have already seen, found that 10,000 millionaires left the UK in 2024. That represents a 157% increase on the year before that. It's been interesting to read how the UK government do seem to be backpedaling on that one a little bit at the moment. The answer to this question was no from our TAG aircraft owners. However, It was believed that this could be age-specific and could have a greater effect on the next generation of wealth. Our owners believed that tech billionaires in their 30s would be far more flexible on where they ultimately reside to be tax efficient. So, question number 3. AI in aviation. Do you foresee improvements, or do you still need the personal touch? So here I'm going to add some quotations directly from our aircraft owners, and then I'll explain what they were trying to get across. So, AI will make the doers of this world more powerful. Within aviation, what this owner was referring to was back-office accounting and forecasting. He believes that AI will simplify this data in real time, ultimately leading to faster decision-making on the owner side. AI could create industry-wide transparent pricing analytics and ownership cost understanding. Some companies such as JetNet and MySky, who I know are in the room, I think, are doing some brilliant work on this already. Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. One owner believed that AI would become paramount in supporting speed of manufacture and delivery, which in turn is essential to maintaining demand. Ordering a product and receiving it 3 years later, in his eyes, was not good enough. Creating supply chain efficiency is key, and he believed that AI will be instrumental here. 2 more quotations. Tech is great, as long as it doesn't add more workload. The personal touch is essential. So trip booking via an app is obviously fantastic. TAG, we have an app and it works really well, and it's brilliant in the initial planning phase. However, maintaining the personal touch was unanimously voted by every single owner as essential and must not be replaced by technology. So, question 4. This is where I'm going to ask for a bit of help. Business aviation can be negatively portrayed to the public via the press. What do aircraft owners want us to do about it? Next, I'd like some audience participation, please, via Slido, if we can make that work, guys. So TAG asked 16 aircraft owners the question above. So business aviation can be negatively portrayed. What do you want us to do about it? So let's do a poll. Which out of these 3 answers was the most popular from the aircraft owners? Fight to promote the advantages, define a roadmap of how I can fly in a greener manner, or ignore the negative press. It will have no effect on how I fly anyway. What do you think is the most popular answer from our owners? One more sec. Okay, the winner was, if you want to flip back to the presentation, guys. The winner was fight. Fight to promote the benefits. Ultra high net worths felt passionately about this. They felt frustrated that their efforts to drive economies are overlooked, and that running a global company with employees needing to see their leader was logistically impossible without business aviation. Interestingly, all of the corporate owners that we asked voted for number 2. They believe business aviation will always be a target, and so we should remain quiet. One owner even mentioned private aviation should become private again and operate more discreetly. So it's interesting the change between ultra high net worths and corporates. Finally, I wanted to add one quotation from one of our more colourful owners, which summed up his thoughts on this question quite well. Okay, question 5. The big one. What do you want to say to this audience? So, being honest, this is where I became somewhat of an aviation therapist to all of our owners. But I've tried to summarize as best that I could. What are your frustrations with business aviation? Unfortunately, OEM build times and aftercare came up time and time again. I wanted to read a direct quotation from one of our owners that I think explained his reasoning. So this is a quotation from a TAG owner. Production is too slow. There is always a delay. Manufacturers actually don't have enough competition to drive improvements for the end user. If one is poor, that simply means the other does well, not that they improve. It feels like OEMs concentrate 90% of their firepower on the sales side, not the delivery and aftercare. Aftercare is where I personally will choose whether to stay in that OEM family or not. 2, as a business leader, some very clever people own these jets. Could you change business aviation? Do you see opportunities? One aircraft owner did. Service centres. So one owner of ours who runs a global retail empire said, and I'll quote him as well, "I feel service centres have archaic IT systems with no real-time understanding of inventory. Global service centre networks also don't seem to speak the same language to each other in terms of stock and delivery processes. This leads to mistakes and ultimately delays for me. The servicing community, in my opinion, must become more united with the goal of speed at its core, and this could come from technology." Now that you own a business jet, will you ever go back to commercial airlines? It's a question we get at TAG all the time. So I thought I'd ask. And the answer was a unanimous no. However, several aircraft owners interestingly mentioned that they believe the next generation of entrepreneurs might. It was believed newer generations of leadership will not choose business aviation, prioritizing cost saving, sustainability, and public image over efficiency. Finally, I wanted to add 2 more quotations direct from our owners that I promised them I would put up on the big screen. This is their words, not mine. Interesting stance there. So finally, looking ahead to 2025, how can we use this feedback to better plan for the year ahead? For me at TAG, we've been working on this and we're going to try and learn some lessons from this as well, but hopefully this will be useful for everyone. I've summarised 4 key points for me. Number 1, aircraft owners want to be sustainable. They're perfectly happy to pay more to do so. If we do not have the perfect solution in SAF availability right now, that's okay. In the interim, let's continue to focus on fighting to promote the benefits of our industry, because that is what our customers want. 2, incremental changes on taxation of business aviation will probably continue, but they will affect charter customers far more than aircraft owners. However, the biggest effect could be seen in the next generation of leaders. It is this generation we must all begin to plan for. Sales is great, but aftercare really is key. And then finally, AI must support efficiency in building planes, delivering planes, understanding ownership costs of planes, and fixing planes. But it must never take away the personal touch. I hope that's been useful. Thank you very much for your time.
Do we have any questions for Carl? Just to remind you, the slides are all available on the app, and actually the last slide has the email addresses and mobiles for everyone who took part in the survey. Yes, we've got a question. Oh, Mike, if you like. Carl, you've got a question in the second row.
Nailed it.
I caught it. Angus Basie, freelance for the Aviation Week Group. One of the things that we struggle with in the media is getting insight of this kind into the actual business usage of business aviation assets.
Okay.
Did you get the sense in any of the conversations that you had with your owners, the ones that were willing to take the fight to the protesters, if you like, that they might be willing to speak a bit more freely about the value of the aircraft and the value of the service to their businesses?
100% yes. We even had one aircraft owner who was more than willing to come up on stage here with me. I turned him down, but I might ask him next year because I know there's a lot of competitors in the room. I'd end up man-marking him for the entire show. But yeah, we do have a few aircraft owners who, passionately believe that is business aviation perfect in terms of being green? No. Are we doing a lot more than the commercial airlines? I'd say yes. And they're perfectly happy to stand up for themselves. But as I said, it is very hard to measure the impact that they make in terms of driving economies. But the answer would be yes. Maybe we could do that next year, Al.
I won't throw.
Easy catch there, easy. Carl, of the responses that you got, were there any that surprised you more than others? Were there any where you thought, wow, I don't know these people as well as I thought I did? And on this point about understanding what the next generation of corporate jet consumers might want and how they might behave, how does the industry start engaging with them? Because sometimes this industry seems a bit like a country club where you just keep meeting the same delightful people over and over again, but not that many new people.
To answer your question, did anything kind of surprise me from the owners? No, not particularly. At TAG, we spend a lot of time, being close with our owners. That's, I think, one of the benefits of TAG. We really, really focus on relationships. So we're meeting them generally when they're getting off the aircraft as much as we can. In terms of engaging with the next generation, I think the first step would be to look at the industries that these people are coming from. Having a close eye on Bitcoin, the tech centers, of course, that's probably the quickest and easiest way to engage with that medium. But I guess a lesson that maybe we learned at TAG is, we have always historically been quite quiet and quite discreet in everything that we do. And I think we need to advertise ourselves in the right places in the right way, gently, subtly, but focus on that next generation is key for us. So that's a lesson that we're going to learn, and maybe that's useful to everyone else as well.
Any more questions? Your question? You've got a question? Great.
Throw the rugby ball.
Of the owners you surveyed, what was the age group of the owners? And if there was any outliers in the age group, did that yield a unique input?
They were generally older. So when one of them, I think, said, they believe that the tech billionaires in their 30s will approach, where they live and their tax efficiently differently. Historically, TAG owners are probably that little bit older. So I think the medium range was, 50s to 60 years old of the owners that we're speaking to. So, hopefully in the future, we're going to be picking up more of these kind of new, younger aircraft owners. But it's an interesting question. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carl. That was great. Thank you.